All right, y'all, I'm back. Had to knock off 2 podcasts in one day. I've been slipping, which I ain't really been slipping, but I just ain't recorded none in a while. I'm probably gonna be hiatusing again because I got to work on some other moves, which is internet marketing business. But we gonna delve into Nick Cannon. Now, I did the first one. Nick Cannon, Viacom, and True History. We get ready to delve into Nick Cannon, Rabbi Abraham Cooper, and Nick's apology to the Jewish culture. Now, I'm going to do the same thing I did the last time. When I say that Jew word, I'm going to refer to them as the other white meat. The other white meat, specifically because I want to keep, because every time you say that word, they flagging. YouTube flagging. Somebody hear it, they gonna flag. You ain't got to be to saying nothing. Just that you use the word in a sentence and they didn't give you the okay, you get ready to get flagged. So we're going to use the other white meat again to keep everything copacetic and kosher with this whole situation. So Nick Cannon, to bring y'all back up to speed, had Professor Griff on the show. Professor Griff and Nick got to talking a little deep. And Nick goes into history about the white man's origin or existence, where they kind of came out of. Talking about the Caucasus Mountains, the Neanderthal, the barbaric nature, maybe the savagery, the mental mentality of some of these white folk who like to war over peace, things of that nature. And his usage of those terms, barbaric, savage, what have you, got him red flagged by the other white meats culture. So Nick, who is being paid by those folks, also immediately went into cleanup mode. Because again, he's on various platforms. He's on, I know he's on Wild 'N Out. He created that. He was on it's The Masked Singer. He is on several different movies. Yada 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 yada. Nick Cannon did what you call in the PR world, public relations world, damage control. Because he got to save his brand. He got to save his image. The people that pay him, the other white meat culture that pays him pretty well. He's worth about $60 million from what I looked up last. And he a young cat. He getting ready to turn 40, hitting 40, somewhere around in there. He a young dude, living the life, beautiful women, plenty of money, several children, yada, yada, yada. And Nick is a fairly nice guy. He might talk a little trash, him and 50 Cent and Eminem had a little beef, but that really wasn't nothing to even get upset about or get flustered about, because they know dude ain't no real rapper. So Nick brings on to his show to do the damage control rectification Rabbi Abraham Cooper. And they're having a discussion about the Holocaust, Farrakhan and his nature and mentality, certain organizations that are affiliated, you know, ADL, Anti-Defamation, Brene Briff, yada, yada, yada. And Nick is trying to reconcile with the rabbi to keep his position. Now, many people have said they feel like Nick should not have apologized. And I feel the same way, because at the end of the day, you just showed how weak you really are. This ain't an apology among brothers where, okay, man, you know, I said some stuff to you about you. We rock, we good, we break bread, we eat together. This is about a culture of people that you do business with and you insulted them, so now you got to do damage control. So let me bring him on. But to listen to Nick talk, Nick is doing more ass kissing than he is doing remedying the problem, if you will. I don't see where it's an issue for Nick to have stood his ground. So the rabbi and other white meat religious pundits, if you will, have a real problem with Minister Farrakhan. Nothing he does, says, or will ever do will be deemed appropriate in their eyes, because he's telling the truth. And the truth is not what we want you all to hear. One of the things that really bothers me is how they continue to talk about their Holocaust as if that's the only Holocaust in world history. Nobody talks about the African Holocaust. The African Holocaust is more horrific than the Holocaust inflicted on the other white meat by the German culture. And I say that because we are a global community. The African is all over the globe and has been marginalized, institutionalized, demoralized, and damn near killed in every country in the world. So it only, to me, seems that it's a one-sided situation. Nobody wants to talk about the African Holocaust. They hide the African Holocaust. Slavery is just a segment, a fragmentation of a larger picture of the African Holocaust. Christian codes, the black codes. Then you talk about slavery. Then you talk about Jim Crowism. Then you talk about civil rights. Then you talk about redlining, gentrification. All of this stuff is going on. Plus the wars that we fought in, where we came out unvictorious in the whole process. So it only bothers me to try to understand, why is it that Nick Cannon has to pander, pamper, and ass kiss the other white meats culture to keep his position, but the conversation will never steer toward understanding the black plight and the need to correct the issues that affect the black community or the global community of Africans at large. Nobody wants to talk about that. You see what I'm saying? They'll talk about everything else, but they won't talk about that. They won't talk about nothing dealing with the real issues at hand when it comes to us as a global community. Nick Cannon is really sounding like a simp. Because at the end of the day, dude is really showing his weaker side. Sometimes you got to be a man and say, okay, I said what I said. Now let's talk about it. Him doing all of that, and I'm trying to learn, and I need to learn, and I don't want to affect nobody, but I don't like white supremacy. That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out. That's a move, again, for him to try to rectify a situation to ass kiss because he's trying to keep his position. So for this dude to holler out, I'm going to give my whole paycheck, my first paycheck, to an organization of people who do not have the best interest in mind of the Africans of America and abroad, to me, is a sucker move. It's a sucker move. You ain't got that. They don't have the interest of the Africans. Hence the reason why they keep hollering about their ish. Their ISH, which is a fragmentation of the original. And if you holler out ish, I'm Jewish, then at the end of the day, that only stems from you being a part, a segment, a fragment from the original Jew, which is the question that we all have to ask. Why isn't there any black Jews jumping out of their seats, screaming and hollering about the anti-Semitism that Nick Cannon just made? Why is that not on the books? Why is he not sitting down with a black rabbi and getting his dosage of education from someone who looks like him? See, you see the game, but then they'll talk, they'll taunt and talk bad on the minister because he's standing up for us as a people, and he know the fuckery that they done, and the deceit and the trickery and the necessary things that they've done to keep us in the position that we are in. But he's an evil man, but he don't have no guns. He's an evil man, but he don't own no institutions. He's an evil man, but he's not murdered anyone or sent anyone to war. You see, it's all a game. It's all a game. And I think Nick Cannon is really playing himself, because at the end of the day, you can't make someone like you for you being you when at the end of the day, they never really wanted to appreciate your uniqueness, your intellectualism, your talents from the get-go. So all the ass kissing, all the sit down talking, all that's dog and pony. They won't sit down with the minister, and those that have sat down with the minister try to come from a place of authority and a dictatorship mentality so that he will succumb to what they want to be the necessary actions taken on his part to fix the problems of what they would deem to be called, to say is anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic. I really wish Nick would stop trying to be everybody's friend. I mean, he's a nice guy. You see Ice Cube, he hollered and said some stuff back in the 90s, and they knew where he stood from the get-go. And even now they claim he's doing some anti-Sema, but the reality is dude has not said one word. Like he said, he was on the Breakfast Club the other day. I ain't said one word. He said, my Jewish friends, my other white meat friends have not called me and said, man, hey, what's going on? Because I ain't opened my mouth and said nothing. But the imagery that he put up, that was a problem. See, it don't really matter what you do because you're going to always be deemed a problem by their culture. Because the minute we find out who we are and start claiming who we are and start claiming our stuff and begin to get back in proper status of who we are as a people, the fraud is up. The fraud is up. The fraud is up. You see? So, not to be too long-winded, man, because I'm going to get off of here. I think Nick Cannon made a mistake in his trying to ass kiss to get acceptance by a group of people who won't accept a man who's been preaching this rhetoric for over 60 plus years. They won't accept a minister and reconcile and build relations with him because he wants power, control, authority over his own situation. But Nick Cannon, whose paychecks are signed by the other white meat culture, who Nick Cannon works in their industry, who Nick Cannon is allowed to get creative control but don't own none of his own shit per se, in their culture is one of the reasonings why, you know, I think he need to have stood on his own ground. I think he needed to have stood on his own ground. It just, you can't make somebody love you. You can't make somebody love you and appreciate you and respect you until they know they can't fuck over you. And once they know that, conversation changes, man. So look here, I'm out. Cool Water, the digital dope man. Check me out at the blog is hiphopdead.com. Look for me at the home base site, thedigitaldopeman.com. And let's keep in mind, sometimes you got to stand up to get people off your back. Hence the reasoning we've been always getting our ass kicked and going through the stuff we're going through. Peace and stay blessed. Holla.